everyone, welcome back to our channel. Carly here, back with another quick Monday review. So today I'm going to be reviewing a new product, which is always exciting when we review new things. So this is the Patrick Ta, what's the full name? Patrick Ta Major Sculpt Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. So let's get into it. Okay, so the compact is really similar to his cream blush duos, but it's larger. So it's the same sort of concept though, that one side is a cream, one side is a powder, and then the cream side has a nice little plastic protector so that it doesn't like get inside the powder, which is great. But the fill weights are larger, which is awesome. So you get, the cream is 0.24 ounces and the powder is 0.32 ounces. Which is perfect. I actually was really happy that the compact was larger because the cream blush is great, but you know, generally I use like larger brushes for bronzer, so these are the perfect size for my brushes that I use. This product comes in 3 shades. There is She's Statuesque, which is the lightest shade, which is this one, and then She's Sculpted is the medium shade, and then She's Chiseled, which is the deepest shade. So pretty decent shade range for bronzer. I mean, I think there could be a few more, but definitely a good start. I mean, I think the deep is like pretty deep, and this one is actually pretty light. I'll get into it, so it would work for more fair skin tones. I feel like sometimes when bronzers launch and there's only a couple shades, you know, you're really excluding people on both ends. So I feel like this is actually a case where the deep is pretty deep and the light is pretty fair, so you're not really excluding, you know, a huge part of the population that wants to try the product, which is great. Okay, one other note before I get into my review is that the powder is actually talc-free, which is awesome. You guys know that Britta is allergic to talc, so I don't really look out for talc-free products, but I also really appreciate when they are, because I find that nowadays it's, you know, a lot of brands are formulating to be talc-free and, you know, for other reasons besides Britta's allergies, but I just find that you can really get like really beautiful textures and great payoff. So it's always really nice to see when a brand, you know, puts that effort in to go talc-free. Let's get into the formula review. So I'm gonna start on the cream side. So I hope you can see this, but I was really surprised how sort of emollient the cream side was. Like if I put my finger in here, it just feels like it has, you know, a very low melting point. It feels, I don't want to say oily, but it just feels very emollient, which the cream blush from the Patrick Ta duos is definitely still emollient, but to me has like a bit more of like a cushiony thick texture and a little bit of a lower melting point. This just feels like instantly, I mean, it's really nice to put your finger in. It feels instantly like creamy and emollient. So definitely different than the blushes in my opinion. And that really surprised me, like I said, and I think that the thing that I was expecting was it to have a bit more body and be a bit thicker and then also more pigmented, and it's quite the opposite. So with this cream product, it's actually so thin, like it's just so thin. I don't think I've ever owned a cream product that feels this thin on the skin, which is great because then it feels so lightweight on your face, like you truly can't feel it at all. I mean, if you guys watch our channel, you know we love the Tarte cream bronzer, and I love the Fenty matchsticks, and those are both so much more thick, and they're still very lightweight, but they are, you know, you can feel them more in your skin. This one is so thin that it almost feels like, I don't know, it does sort of feel like, you know, a very lightweight oil. I don't want to scare anyone by saying it's like oily, but it just has that like a really emollient thin feel. And then because the product is so thin, I actually find this to be pretty sheer. In the clip you'll watch shortly of me applying it, I think that it looks more pigmented on camera than it does in person. In person, I definitely have to go in a few times to get the color that I want, but that's definitely not a bad thing. I think that especially with contour products, it's so hard to backtrack. Like once you know, if something's super pigmented and you put it on your face and then you try to blend it out, you know, a lot of times it can just be a disaster. So I do like the point of difference with this product, that it's so sheer that you really can't go wrong. It just does take more effort in building the product up, or at least on my skin tone. So I'll insert the clip now of me applying this. So as you can see, I just sort of dip my preferred brush in, which is the IT Cosmetics. It's a dual-ended brush, and then stipple it on my cheeks. And you definitely see color upon impact, but as I said, I definitely like to do 2 layers. So I just sort of keep applying this, stippling on my face, stippling it in the pan, stippling it on my face, just going back and forth. And I do love how easy it goes on. It doesn't look streaky in any way. It doesn't look patchy in any way. Like I said, it's pretty sheer at first, so you really can't go wrong, and it builds really nicely. Like I can just go in with a couple coats, and I feel like the color definitely builds to be more like opaque, and it gets me to the color that I want to be at. And so I definitely think this is super easy to use. I don't think that anyone would have issues, like I said, blending, or it doesn't like move around when you put it down. Like that's the other thing, it is so emollient. I was concerned that once I sort of stippled it on, it would sort of spread out more as I start to like blend it on my face, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't really, you know, get everywhere. It does stay where you put it. Because this product is pretty emollient, I do think it leaves like a tiny bit of sheen on your skin, which again is really different than all the other cream bronzer or contour products I have. I don't find that any of them really have, you know, a slight sheen to them. And I actually really like that because I feel like it has a skin-like finish. Like it looks like the finish of your natural skin, because even if you have, you know, dry skin, your skin doesn't look like flat and matte like a lot of contour products are. It does have like a little sheen to it. So I love the finish on this, that it actually looks so skin-like. This is probably one of the more like natural bronzing contouring products I own, if not the most natural looking. Okay, and then going into the powder side, I did find that, you know, the whole point of this is that you're supposed to layer the powder on top of the cream, which I love that concept, especially as I get older. I love cream products so much. They're definitely my preferred, but I find that if I don't set them with any sort of powder, they fade a lot faster on me than they used to. So I love the concept of going in with the powder on top, and so I love that it's in one compact. I will say that when I first used the powder on top of the cream, I, you know, kind of just went to go apply the bronzer as I would normal bronzer, just kind of like swooping it around, and I found that it did kind of disrupt the cream underneath. So I found the best method is to use like a bigger brush and just sort of again stipple on instead of, you know, swirling it on. I think that stippling, as you'll see in the clip, where I sort of just like go up and down with the brush and like pat it on, is the best method to go. And again, this powder is sheer, at least on me and on my skin tone. It's pretty sheer, which I like because you can't go overboard. But again, same sort of thing as the cream, it does have to be built up. So I just sort of like stippled it on and then kept stippling until I got to my desired, you know, color and what I wanted it to look like. And I, again, find that it's very easy to layer. It's not like you keep adding more and you're not really getting more color. I do think that you keep adding more and it does look, you know, more bronzy as you add more. I was surprised again that the powder side was, you know, more sheer, but I think that it's nice that they have, you know, the same sheerness where, you know, you can kind of like know what to expect from each side of the pan. It's not like one is super pigmented, the other sheer. You know, they are really aligned with each other. And then talking about the colors of this formula, I love the contour color. It's a really beautiful neutral brown. I don't think it's too cool toned or too warm, and it has a little bit of yellow, which looks really good on my neutral skin. So I really love that shade. The bronzer is a bit like too yellow for me, I feel. It's a little warmer than I would have liked. But again, because it's so sheer, because you layer over the contour color, I actually feel like they look really beautiful together. I obviously have it on right now, and when all is said and done, I really love the combo. I did wear this by itself, and I did even like it. Like, I would definitely wear it by itself, but out of all the bronzer, powder bronzers I own, it's not my favorite color. Like, I wish it was a tad more neutral, but it's really good. I did also, in this clip, want to show you what I mean by sheer, because I feel like it's really hard to describe. Like I said, this is a really unique formula, and in its emolliency and its sheerness. So I swatched it next to my favorite Salt New York contour cream, which I've been using like all the time. I love that stuff. So I wanted to show you just like, do the swatch of the Salt New York on top of my hand, and as you can see, or if you can tell, it's a bit more thick and more opaque. It doesn't look as like thin as the Patrick Ta. And then I swatched the Patrick Ta underneath, and you can see just, the colors actually in the pans look really similar, but when you swatch them, the Patrick is just more sheer and appears to be a tad more yellow, like I said too. But overall, when I move my hand back and forth, you can see they both have that like light emolliency. The Salt New York I talked about in the past is very similar in that it has that like natural skin-like finish, which I really love. I will say, I really like this formula, but I do prefer the Salt New York because it is just like that, you know, slightly more thick and slightly less emollient, where I can just like go in quickly and put it on, and you know, the color is like exactly where I want it. Whereas like I said, this one I have to build up because it is more sheer, which is totally fine. You know, everyone has their own preference. I like both, but I do prefer the Salt New York. So if you have purchased those, I will say the formulas, you know, have a similar finish. They have similar, you know, similar color, a little bit of a different undertone, but that one is definitely more, you know, pigmented and a little bit thicker. This one is thinner and more sheer. I want to touch on price. This is $38, and I actually feel like that's a really good deal for the amount of product you get on both sides. And like I said, I've already worn the contour side on its own and the powder side on its own, and you know, liked both of them. So if you're gonna use both sides, I feel like that's a good deal. It's not, I just want to point out, like, it's not as small as the blushes, so it's not like you're getting a really small amount of product. So I really love this concept. I do feel like it's a good value if you're gonna use both sides. I do wish, my only complaint really is that I wish they were both a little bit more pigmented, and again, that's really just speaking to this shade on my skin tone. Maybe the medium shade would work for me even better, but I do find that, you know, I have to build both of these up, which is just a little more time consuming. Once they're on, I do really like how they look, but that's my only complaint. And then, like I said, the bronzer side is just a tad more warm than I would like, but beautiful finish, beautiful formula. Just I wish it was a little more neutral like the contour side. And yeah, so overall, I definitely think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this product in the summer. I think it's great for traveling. I've also like just thrown this on my eyes as like just a quick eyeshadow. And I really just love, you know, the ease of this. So hope you guys like this review. Let me know if you do try this and what your thoughts are. If you've tried the blushes and the bronzer, like which one you like more. Just curious to see what you think about this.